she's going to sit here, right?
Just take this and put it a little bit further.
Oh, yes.
And then I can maybe stand up for part of the time. I just can't stand for the whole thing because I don't want...
That's fine. Does it back up?
The issue is
Go
that
back
you're
at
here,
all?
and then this thing's going to be in the way.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all.
Okay, do it.
Turn it sideways. That's great. Just right there. That's probably fine. And then people on this side of the stage will still be. Let's move the chair over this way. So that, I hate to have people not be able to really see her, so she can be angled a little more this way too. So okay.
Just in a minute.
Yeah.
Miriam Delicado is actually she's become an incredible friend. We consider her actually part of Camelot, believe it or not, because she is such a supporter, and because we tend to work together with her, as we do several of our witnesses. It's an amazing dynamic that's going on. There's such teamwork happening, and we would also include David Wilcock and George Green in that, and actually almost everyone who's speaking at the conference becomes sort of someone that we are working with, someone we go to ask advice on different matters, someone who has their own sort of agenda that we're trying to support as well. And in Miriam's case, she's working with indigenous people, as you may know, to bring peace to the planet, to also make people aware of various things. And I'm not going to speak for her here. I'm going to let her do that. But I want to say that she's an amazing personality as well as a spiritual being. And I honor her as my colleague and friend, a dear, dear woman to me, and I'm just very grateful that she's alive today. There have been efforts to take her out. I recently did an interview with her. It's quite short, it's about a half hour. During that interview, the tape and the film, I wasn't touching the camera, I just focused on her and stepped away. It was hit by some kind of scalar weaponry over and over and over again. It's an amazing thing that certain of our witnesses, the powers that be, whether they be ET or whether they're using scalar weaponry and they're human, don't want you to hear what they have to say, and she's one of those people. So pay close attention because she says things they may seem very sort of every day, and yet she has a certain way of speaking. It's an interesting phenomenon, and suddenly what seem like plain words will take in new import. So I want to welcome Miriam Delicado.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to make sure she's wired, so go ahead and talk to the crowd. Let's make sure they can hear you.
I think they heard the woo when I sat down, maybe. Does everybody hear me all right? No? Okay, well, if I start talking, maybe you can hear me a little bit. Wow.
Okay, if worst comes to worst. Okay. I want to make sure you have a...
Thank you. All right. You know what? That would be great, because this is a bit lanky. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I feel like a bit of a diva. No. I just want to say that I'm extremely nervous. I'm shaking. It's going to take me a few minutes to get through just a couple of words that I wanted to say that are going to make me cry, so I can get them done and out of the way. First of all, I want to talk about Carrie and Bill. And I want everyone to really just look around the room and see what extraordinary people you're sitting next to from all around the world. Conferences are everywhere. But something that I've noticed that's really special about Camelot and the people that go to Camelot is that you have a deep desire to take action. That you're not just filling your minds with this information, but then you're asking the question, what can I do for myself, for my community? And this whole concept of Project Camelot is really, I believe, making an impact on the world, because I most certainly receive emails from around the world, from some extraordinarily small places in China, villages in Japan, Indigenous people from remote areas. So the voices that we have at Camelot are very strong. And I just want to honor Carrie and Bill for allowing not just me, but all of us to have this opportunity to learn and to grow and walk through this process together. So I just want to say thank you. The second thing I want to share on a really personal note is to talk to you about my car accident. Something very significant happened in the week prior and the days prior to that car accident. And to me, it was not a, quote, accident. It was not. In saying that, I had this happen, and it was very shocking to me because it came out of absolutely nowhere. I had no precognition that anything was going to happen. And so when Carrie and Bill found out, they called me from Europe. They then got on the phone almost immediately and called people in Los Angeles to come to my side. I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. And I know so many of you are asking me about this, and it's been very difficult for me. But I wanted to tell you something really remarkable that came out of that, because I was really concerned for myself after the accident. And Carrie and Bill swooped in. They sent people to my side, and they put me on their radio program, and immediately people were sending me healing energy, which I was asking for. They were sending me strength, and they were sending me protection. So I feel just overwhelmed with gratitude to all of you, because 2 days, by the time 2 days rolled around after that, after everyone started sending all of these emails and messages to me and healing, and the healers walked in, I got up and I got out of bed and I walked out of that room that I was in, where I had stayed in bed for 5 days. I couldn't get up. I'd slept the entire time. It was like I was in a total daze in another world. I barely remember it. So you healed me. And I still have a few problems, but it kind of, that whole situation rolls me into why I'm here and what I want to talk to you about. And that is the power that we have in coming together, which is the blessing that I always have in my life, of how I get to observe what happens when people make a decision to come together. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you and tell you that from this point forward, I'm doing well, and I thank you for all of your support. And now, when we talk outside of this room, let's really get to some business, because now you all know I'm doing well. So I'm hoping that most of you have watched the Project Camelot interviews that I've done. And you are aware that I have had extraordinary ET contacts for most of my life, and that I still have those contacts up until the present day. So I'm going to share some things with you that I haven't shared publicly up to this point. I only have an hour. I never write down a speech or know what it is exactly that I'm going to talk about before I walk into a room, so hopefully I'll stay on track. 21 years ago, when I was taken on board a craft in the physical body, I was physically taken and walked on board a UFO. This really amazing knowledge was imparted to me about how we were all connected. And you know, these are simple words. We are all one. If you were to sit down and meditate for the rest of your life on that one sentence, we are all one, you would still never fully understand the concept that we are all one. So people write books and they make it complicated, and they say we're all one and we're all connected and, you know, all of these things, and they make it complicated. But it's not. It's very simple. We are one people, and that doesn't mean people in the United States. It doesn't mean people in Canada from where I'm from. It means people all around the world. We are one people. And we need to take responsibility for ourselves in our actions, for what it is that we are doing to walk into this future that we are heading towards. Now, this is actually one of the main messages that I received from these tall, blonde ETs in 1988, is that there would come a time when humanity would be walking into a time of choice. And you're choosing right now what future it is that you want. We cannot change the world in one day. We cannot change our financial system in one swoop. We cannot even break it down. We can't destroy it because it's what we have. So what can we do? I didn't listen to all of George Green's presentation. I know that he talks about the financial situation quite a bit, and he's very knowledgeable. He's an amazing instrument to be able to come forward and give you this knowledge of the steps that we're taking in order to change the system. Because every time an individual makes the decision and makes the choice and acts on it and becomes responsible to change their financial situation, to change the way that we're living daily life in a monetary system, the way that we're living life and with our food production, all of these issues, and there are many, when they all come together, in all of those little bits and pieces, it becomes the change that we need to have. Now, going back to the ETs, they said that we would come into this time of choice, and that was the first part. One of the second things that they said is that during this time of choice, a lot of people would become crazy. And let me tell you, if you know people around you, they're losing their minds. And I'm going to tell you why they're losing their minds. And it's going to get a little bit technical. When I take responsibility for myself, I basically raise the vibrational level of my physical body and my spiritual body combined. Those two things, when I walk out into the world, and I'm walking around here at the conference, and you maybe walk up to me and you feel something, that's that energy that I'm letting flow through me. And you do it as well, every single person does. It flows through us, and it's like walking along and letting droplets fall beside you. It's drops of my energy that are melting into yours, and with that energy comes information. So every single person here is being responsible and making a difference just by sitting in this room and listening to these speakers. Because every time you are with other people, you are sharing your knowledge here. So don't panic and think that you need to tell everyone everything all the time, because I get this from a lot of people. I want to tell everybody. It's not necessary. You show them who you are through your actions, through your emotions, through your physical body, through your spiritual self. That's how you make a change. The reason that people are going crazy is because if you have a person who is not willing to make this change along with us, who wants to stay in a really materialistic world and wants nothing but 5 cars and the super mansion and so forth, well, they're not going to be accepting this energy very well, and it's going to drive them a bit mental. So what we need to do is we need to have patience with the people around us. And this was a really big point that these ETs made with me, is that during this particular time that we're going through, and this is going to be over the course of several years, by the way. This is not going to be ending next year. It's not going to be ending in 2012. It's going to be over the course of the next 10, 15, 20 years. So buckle down, because this is just the beginning. You are the people who are going to lead the others into this new world that we're walking into. So we need to take care of ourselves spiritually. We need to take care of ourselves mentally, but with the knowledge. And this is, it sounds really simple, doesn't it? But it makes a huge impact. I know in my own personal life, which is the only thing that I can talk about, is even if I walk into a room, people know that I'm different. I don't have to say a single word. And eventually, when they find out that I've had these contacts, and prior to me being forthright with people about my contact, with my psychic abilities that I have, which are extensive, they would say, "Oh, I knew there was something really weird about you." I just, and they'd go on, and they said, "Man, now it all makes sense." So, this is a very important point that the ETs need people to understand, that it is a personal responsibility of the soul that we need to first and foremost address in order for us to make an impact. 21 years ago, I'm on board this craft. They tell me, they said, one day there are people, a particular group of people that I will find, and that when I do, I will know what to do. And I did find those people, and they're very special people, and I don't talk about them very much, but they are the Hopi. And I know that the Hopi are only one of these very special people on the planet, one group of them within the Indigenous community. And these individuals, their physical bodies may have been born here and have come from here, but their actual DNA and structure and forms of the human body came from what I call the last world. If you would like to call it Atlantis, or if you would like to call it Lemuria, or so forth, you go ahead. I'm not going to get into it, because you know what? Quite frankly, it is not important. What is important is that these people, these indigenous people from around the world, when they originally came to this world, were the first people on this earth. And that they were allowed to come here because they were given an opportunity to come. They were asked, "Do you want to come and be taken off the planet while we cleanse it of this negative forces that have taken over?" And they came, and they're the stewards of this land, this earth. They are the caretakers, the original caretakers. If people understood how much struggle these people have around the world to maintain what it is that they have. Yes, they live in poverty. Yes, and I'm not talking about Hopi, I'm talking about everywhere. They live in poverty. They have struggled through repression. They don't have proper schooling. They have a lot of problems with the same issues that we have in the rest of the world, with alcohol and drugs and so forth. But make no mistake that even through all of that, if you meet an alcoholic that is an indigenous person, you still know that they are special if you sit and listen to them. And what is that? It's their DNA that has come from the last world. And that's one of the things that these ETs talk to me about quite detailed. That during this time of choice and during this time of change, that these people held a key to our future. So, in the history of the indigenous people, they have been crushed by outsiders, not just whites, the outside world, those that have come afterwards, which is the rest of the population. And they have their own land. They're protecting the water. They're protecting the earth. They have certain abilities to work within the system of the financial system in order to create the new systems. If they have sovereignty, they have the ability to change the monetary systems and create their own banks. If they have their own land, they have the ability to create eco-villages that are going to be the platforms for a new future. If they have massive amounts of land, then they can begin to build new ways of farming and producing food that is more productive than having it the way that we have it right now, which is killing our soil. They also have knowledge about how herbs and medicines and healing practices that we can benefit from. But let's be clear on something which is really important. What I'm talking to you about sounds as though it came from, me reading a book or looking at something over here or having a conversation over there. But what I'm actually talking to you about came directly from extraterrestrials. So I take note of that and I say, all right, what can I do in order to assist them? So if you want to make a huge impact and you want to make it quickly, one of the ways that this community can do that is to find the tribe in your area and ask them, what can I do to work with you? You're not going to be there to help them. We don't help each other. We assist one another. Because a lot of people try and help, and they use their egos and they use another part of themselves. And that doesn't work. But if you work with someone, then you leave the ego out of it and you actually accomplish something. Now, 21 years ago, they said there would be a time, and I call it the Great Gathering of humanity. I have to look at how much time I have. I'm going to share something extraordinary with you. This is the first time I've shared this publicly, and I think it's time. 21 years ago, and I know I keep repeating myself because I'm actually a little tired and I had a rough day yesterday, so I apologize. When they talked about this great gathering, they said that one of the keys to this, the biggest key, was the indigenous communities around the world coming together, first and foremost. Secondly, it was the star family, the star beings that are here in body like myself, and I'm sure like a lot of you out there sitting in the audience. Because we're the ones doing the work. We're the ones making the changes. We're the ones that are not working from ego. There's no place for it here. We are in absolute service, giving up our family lives to a certain degree, giving up our homes, our cars, our financial stability, giving up our friendships that we've had for years in order to work in absolute service for humanity and for the earth. So the indigenous cultures come together, the star beings and the star family come together, and beyond that, how do we pull everyone else in? The mothers, the children, the grandchildren, the grandfathers, everyone, the politicians. And I'm really sorry to tell you this, but the religious leaders from around the world as well. I'm not interested in talking to someone about how this religion is no good, and that religion is no good, and this belief is no good, and that one. You know what? Every single person on this planet is a human being. And so if we want to make a change, we need to invite everyone into the circle. I had a conversation with someone here last night who was a little off center. And they said that they felt as though there were a number of alphabet people in the room. And you know what? If there is anyone here along those lines that's from some sort of an organization that doesn't like what we're doing, you know what I said to this person? I said, invite them to sit down with you. Invite them to your table and have a conversation with them. And teach them something, because that's what this is about. Because when that person walks away, guess what? They're still in this body. So regardless of what they're being told to do or directed to do, they're still going to be able to hear your voice. So this great gathering is something that I have been waiting a very long time in order to begin working on. Because that's exactly what I was instructed to do, was to talk to people and let them know that this great gathering will take place around the world. It will not have a charge. So if you hear about a gathering of Indigenous people, if you hear about a gathering of other people and there's a big charge for the amount of money that you need to go, this is not the prophesized gathering. This is not the great gathering, because that is not for sale for any charge. For such a long time, people ask me the details of what it is that will happen. And I tell them that I have held this vision in my mind for all these years of every man, woman, and child on earth knowing that this event was taking place all at the same time, or maybe all in the same week, where gatherings around the world would happen in the middle of a city, in the middle of a village or a small town, and people would just gather. And the gathering doesn't have to say anything. They just have to gather and be peaceful and say, we want to change in this world. You know, 9/11 was a horrible thing. And again, at this point in my personal world, I don't care who created it. What I care about, and I think about often, is the power of humanity. Because the moment that I saw that tower come down, do you know what well, I'm sure some of you know what I did. I cried, because I cry a lot. But I cried emotionally. I was so distraught and so disturbed, because I knew that this would affect every single human being on earth. And I cried because I felt, my God, they're going to go to war. This is it. Nuclear war is on its way. My God, I prayed and prayed and prayed. And then gatherings started happening around the world, and it was like a vigil. And I believe I felt a change happen, because my first absolute intuition was absolute war, worldwide war. And then as soon as the gatherings started happening around the planet, I thought, oh, thank God, because it means that these politicians are going to get the message that nobody wants this big war, that it's not going to be accepted. And it's not. And it wasn't. So we minimized the impact on ourselves by creating those gatherings around the world. And I know this. For myself, I know this. About a year and a half ago, in January of 2008, I was instructed, I had a telepathic communication with my ETs to meditate, which I finally did. After about 3 days, I finally had the time to sit down. And I meditated. And they came to me, and they were very, 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 very clear. And they said, they wanted me to do something specific. And I apologize for being cryptic, but I'm often cryptic for reasons. They actually asked me to make something. And I said, okay, and I'm in this meditation, and they said, we want you to look at something over here, and then we want you to make it. I said, okay. And the tall blonde was standing right in front of me, and I was sort of, in this astral world, not really paying attention, going, oh, okay, I'm here, what do you want? And I had to get back out, because my mother needed me. And they said, no, pay attention. And it was like I blinked, and then the tall blonde was standing on my right, and this object was sitting in front of me. They said, make this object, and they gave me some instructions with it. They said that it was time for the Great Gathering to begin, that the foundations of it need to be started. So I said, all right. I came out of the meditation. They said, when you return, you must write this down immediately. And I said, okay. So I came out of the meditation, I sketched it out, and I put it away. That was in January. In March, I took a trip. I was going to Nevada. I said, do I need to bring it with me? They said, no. Very clearly, no. I said, okie dokie. They said to me in around July, they said to me that they wanted me to get on the road and make this piece that they wanted me to make and start the foundation of laying the foundation for the Great Gathering. I said, okay. I was looking after my mother at the time, who was aged, and she was in the dying process. And I said to them, no way, not doing it, not leaving her. I said, you have to give me exactly what I ask for or forget it. So I laid out my demand list, and I said, my mother must be taken care of. She must go in a place where she is loved and she is taken care of to the highest good first. You must supply me with the money because I had no money. You must find someone to make this piece for me because I cannot do it on my own. And the fourth thing, I said, you must, and I want you to listen very carefully to this because this is going to teach you something about the creation that we have the ability to do. You must bring eagle feathers to my feet. I demand a physical proof that what you are asking me to do is true and correct, or I will not do this. I must have this come to me physically, or I will not believe that this is real. So, I demand eagle feathers to my feet, and I demand one white, pure white feather. A week later, this piece is carved. A week later, won't get into all the detail, a carver. I ended up at his house. No idea that he's a carver. Went to his house for some strange reason. Walked in the door. After an hour of conversation, he said, I don't know why you're here. I said, well, I certainly do. He said, can you tell me why? And I showed him the piece, and he began working on it immediately. 2 days later, a stranger PayPal'd $800 to me. Then they PayPal'd another $800 to me. I had $1,600 in my PayPal in a week. Someone called and said, we've got a bed for your mother. She has to come immediately. I called an ambulance and took her to the hospital, where she was absolutely loved and taken care of extraordinarily well. And the last thing is I walked out of my house to go and water my garden. And I'm going to stand up for this. And I had to go and water the garden. So I pulled the hose, and I pulled it because I had to water something in the far corner. And I pulled it, and I was like, jarring on the hose. And then I stood there, and I had my feet, and I was like, oh, and I was just looking at the garden. And then I looked, and right here, literally, right there, 7 eagle feathers. 7 eagle feathers. Can you imagine what went through my mind at that point again? But not only that. Not only that. There was one pure, absolutely pure white feather sitting in the middle of it. I told them, I said, I don't care how you bring these eagle feathers to me. You can bring someone to my door and knock on the door and say, come, here's your eagle feathers. You can leave them at my doorstep. I said, none of this, get in the car, drive five minutes, get out, walk into the bush. I said, I can't do that, because at that point I couldn't leave my mother for more than 20 minutes at a time. So I said, you must bring them to my feet. I said, have one of them fly over and drop them in my yard. I don't care. So the point is that these ETs are still with me, and they are very, very strong. But where did this go? And I'm getting up to walk around because I can't sit still anymore, so hopefully. Here's what happened. I took the piece. I went to Arizona. The message was, the gathering, the great gathering must begin. And I'm shaking, I'm vibrating all over as I'm saying this to you. And through this strange set of circumstances, which I don't have time to get into, I ended up talking to someone who said that these people from South America, the Mayans to be exact, were calling on this gathering because they themselves had been receiving messages that it was time for the great gathering to take place. And it was an absolute chance that I ended up having this meeting with these two individuals. And the events leading up to it was extraordinary. So the point is that as I'm staying in my own remote little world because I don't read books, I don't talk to people a lot about the messages that they're getting, I don't go to lectures, that type of thing, to try and keep myself as clear as possible. So when I do get a message, it's powerful. And they said to me that it was time for this gathering to take place. The ETs are making contact with people around the world and giving them these messages. They're saying it's time that these possible cataclysms, these possible earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it, solar flares may come. But I really want to stress something to you. We have the ability as a human being to stop all of that. We have the ability to create with our minds what we want. So you can focus on your financial situation, you can focus on your home, you can focus on the fact that you're not sure where your job's going to come to, but please do me a favor and focus on what it is that you want in the world. It's not going to be about money, it's not going to be about power, it's going to be about the human being again. So you need to focus in on the heart and know that we're moving back into that time. And I'm so grateful that people like George Green are taking charge of things that I have no ability to be able to talk on. And that's the great thing also, is that each person that is coming forward right now to speak has a piece of this puzzle. So the Great Gathering is in the stages of beginning. Now, I'm going to say some things that'll probably tick off some people. And I apologize to them, because if they watch this film, they're not in this room, but if they watch this film, they won't be very pleased with me. The Mayans have begun to come forward. And I'm sure that many of you are hearing about this. Now, I have contacts in the Indigenous world who are not the Mayans. Other people in the Indigenous world, and I'm not just talking about one tribe, I'm talking about several of them. They do not agree with what it is that these Mayans are saying. They are not agreeing with it. They do not believe that saying that the end of the world is coming is the right approach, because it's not. The Mayans are the timekeepers. Well, great, they're the timekeepers. Do they have so much ego that they can't believe that the other tribes need to be involved in what it is that they're doing? This is not about the Mayans. It's not about the Hopis. It's not about the Lakota. It's not about anyone. What this is about all of them coming together, and coming together in unity to be able to have this gathering so that we can create this flow of change. So when you're listening to things that are coming out right now, today, right now, from the Mayans and from others who are talking about that, I want you to hear my words. Because if they want to speak, and if this person, these individuals choose to speak, allow them to do so. But understand that they are not speaking for anyone other than themselves, and they are not in the consensus of all of them for their information. And I thought for a very long time about this, about whether or not I should say something or not. But so many people have contacted me with fear about what these Mayans are saying, and this has never been the intention. So they may have this contact with these beings They may have a contact through spirit because they did get the message that it was time for the gathering. But then in my own personal view, not in the ET view, but in my personal view, there's other issues getting in the way of them being able to be as productive as they should be or could be, to be as positive and create the change that we need to have. So my ET contacts are still very strong, and I am blessed by them. I don't see them every day. I don't talk to them all the time. I follow the instructions that they give me, and I try to share my insights, my knowledge, my spiritual self in order to bring some sort of understanding to other people that there's a vast amount of areas that I can talk about. You want to talk about the science? I can talk about the science. You want to talk about the I better stop moving around for the cameraman. Sorry. You can start talking about, I can talk about the way that the crafts are run and some of that technology, but what does it do? What does it do for you? Tell me. All these different technologies are out there. 0 point energy, this kind of energy, there's so much talk about that. You know what? There's not a single area in your life that doesn't absolutely reflect right back to these ETs. Food production, the way that we're planting our food and what's happening with it right now may have come from somewhere that is not a positive source through genetic manipulation of seeds. Get your seeds, your heritage and heirloom seeds, so that you can continue to grow our own food. That process is being shut down all around the world, and we need to be very, very careful of what it is that we're doing with our own food production, because our waters are being taken away, our food is being taken away, our rights. I'm in the United States right now, and I have great respect for every single human being on earth. So to me, I don't talk about a particular country. I talk about humanity, and I talk about people. And every single man, woman, and child on this planet has a right to have a life that has food, water, shelter, and guess what else? Joy and happiness and love. What is wrong with us? I recently took a trip to Africa, and I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, District 9. I went to see that because I like to see what's being put out into the world regarding this subject matter. And I was horrified to see that the living conditions that these ETs were living in. Have you been to Africa? Guess what? It's where they live. Miles and miles and miles of shanties. Not a store, nothing, absolutely nothing. So when you're looking at that, what are you looking at? You're looking at the human being. You're looking at the condition of a human being. What is wrong with this world? I can't change the world in a day. I can't change the attitudes of an entire planet. But collectively, as more and more people move into this circle, it starts to spiral and it starts to move. We start to understand that the money that we currently have, if you have $50,000 sitting in the bank, instead of saying, yeah, I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to get a little Maserati, actually it probably isn't enough for that, is it? I don't know. But if you have if you have a lot of money and you're thinking about that, I'm going to tell you that you're still thinking the wrong way. Think about what you can do to your home to help the environment. Think about what you can do in your backyard to plant some food so you don't have to do it. Think about what you can do to your car for your biofuels. And I'm not talking about corn crop biofuels, because there's new technologies out there that we all need to get on. What we need to take action in any way possible, and we need to take action together. When I started, I said, I was healed because of the people in this room and the people from Project Camelot, and I truly believe that, because I couldn't move. I could barely move. I couldn't even hold the phone talking on that interview with Carrie and Bell. I had to kind of put it there and put the pillow up and hardly, you know, I couldn't even hold the phone. And I got up and walked. So the great gathering is coming. And what I'm going to say to you is watch for it and watch for your part in it and how it is that you can help. Now, a lot of people have been contacting me because I put that video out on Project Camelot. And two things. First of all, I'm putting a whole new website together, and there's going to be constantly new things coming up on it over the course of the next week. And it's going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So please go and check out my website to find out what else you can be doing, because it's going to keep expanding. Secondly, I want you to know that what you can do is you are already doing, and that is network, 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 network. Because when the call comes out, I had someone tell me once, I don't have this confirmed, but I had someone tell me once that the Tiananmen Square when that happened, the Qigong, hopefully I said it right, people that follow Qigong within 1 hour rallied 10,000 people into Tiananmen Square, which is why the government in China no longer allows, they're really against Qigong. Now, be very careful how you end up using your network. Be aware that you are waiting for the moment to arrive. When this moment arrives and you get the call and it's time, I would love to see every network, whether it is people who are following ETs, they want the spiritual knowledge, the technology people, people who have the programs for clean water, for poverty. I'm not really interested in people just that are interested in UFOs and ETs. I'm interested in everyone. So when that network goes out, it's not going to be, oh, well, come and join us at the ET gathering. It's going to be, come and join us at the human gathering. And so keep building your network in your personal life to the fullest extent that you can and is possible. And then, which is what we've all been doing for the last, how many years. Something really important for myself that I want to say to everyone out there is it wouldn't be possible for me to stand here or for any of the speakers to be here if it wasn't for people like you. It wouldn't be possible for me to stand here personally if it wasn't possible for all of those individuals who took all of that ridicule, all of the hardships, all of the difficulties that they had. They made it easy for me. Because 21 years ago, when I had my contact, my big physical contact, 21 years ago, I couldn't say ET, I couldn't say alien, I couldn't say craft, I couldn't say spiritual knowledge, I couldn't say propulsion system, I couldn't say alien technology. I couldn't talk. So we have slowly been building and building and building, and you are the first primary big wave. And you have the ability through your voice, through your heart, through your actions, and through your responsibility to be able to make the changes that are necessary. All of these things that I'm saying to you, all of them, every single word that I am saying to you is not my personal thinking unless I tell you that. And I'll say it, this is what I personally think. These are the messages that were given to me by these ETs. Direct messages. I wish I could take myself and put them into each person just for like 5 seconds. Plop back out again. Because man, I'm telling you, we'd be on fire if we did that. So I'm working on a lot of different projects. And I want to also say thank you to everyone for assisting me, because if I wasn't assisted, I wouldn't be able to be here right now. And from my car accident, I don't know how I would have gotten home and gotten the care that I needed when I was here. My friend who was with me in the car accident is fine. He had a bit of whiplash. He's got a few issues with his back and neck still, and he's still in recovery as well. But he is feverishly helping me to get this new website going and do a number of different things. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for everything. And I don't know, I have no idea how much time I have left, but I want to know if any of you have a question.
We will wait for the mic. You can stand up too.
First, what is the name of your website?
Oh, the new website is coming up. He's working on it right now. Is bluestarprophecy.com.
Okay. I'm sorry, one more question. You spoke briefly about the Mayans. Is my understanding, or at least according to Drumbo Melchizedek,
You have to use the mic.
Yeah, you have to use the mic.
We're recording this, so anybody who talks, please use the mic.
Apparently, Drumbo Melchizedek claims that he's been chosen by one of the senior Mayans as a spokesperson for them. And I'm wondering, basically, if you have any comment regarding some of the stuff that he's been talking about lately. If you have any knowledge of it, I'm sorry.
I have great respect for all Indigenous people, and the people that are coming forward. Drumbo has been chosen by the Mayan Council to come forward and speak, and that's their business. That's what they are doing right now. And the Mayan Council did, in fact, receive messages, and I know this for a fact, to come forward. I have great respect for everyone in South America, including the individuals from the Mayan Council that he is dealing with. However, if you hear the Mayan Council, or if you hear Drumbo, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be in some hot water over this, I'm sure, talk about other tribes, I'm not going to say that what he's saying isn't correct. What I'm going to say is use your discretion, because the Mayans themselves are speaking on behalf of other tribes, and I know that these things are not correct. And I have to be careful as to how I deal with that. But it is a very big issue right now. Know this also, that there are many councils, from what I understand, of the Mayans. And that I have only heard the voice of one man so far, myself personally. And I don't need to be running around talking to all these Indigenous people, boosting myself up. For myself. I don't need that acknowledgement. What I need to know is that they're willing to come together without ego, and again, without ego. So if you speak, sorry, let's look at you for a second. If you're speaking for yourself. If I'm speaking for myself. If the Mayans are speaking, I ask the Mayans to be respectful and speak for themselves. That is what I ask for from the Mayans or from any tribe. No, this is not about one. This is not about the individual, whether it is an individual collective or an individual self. This is about unity and the humanity and the heart of all of man. So this issue for me has been, extremely challenging. Now, something in this also, I made a comment that someone from South America was doing black magic on me, and I know that they were. This was not, because people have asked me about this. They said, was it George Green? I'm like, no, it wasn't George Green. Yeah, can you see him with the little, yeah? I don't think so. So it was not George Green, and it was not the Mayans. So I'll just leave it at that. But it was someone that I know is doing it. The point in that is, yes, just be cautious.
What was the article that you were asked to create, if you can tell us? And what will its purpose be, and when do you think the Great Gathering will be?
The piece itself I cannot talk to you about in detail at this time. It will come forward at a later date. The Great Gathering is in the process of being, it's always been in the process of being made through networking, through talking to people, and through laying foundations. Do I know when it will be? No, but I'm going to pray, and I ask you all to pray that it will happen as quickly as possible. You'll all know, believe me.
You've probably been asked this question before, but why, in your opinion, did they choose you to contact, and do they want more people to be contacted, or do they want more people to continually actively spread this message?
Daryl. Yes. Why was it that I was, quote, chosen? Am I special? No. What I was is, I'm an individual. I'm at least in part, a human being. Probably more than ET, but I do have some, I believe I have ET DNA in me. My family lineage will go all the way back to the beginning of human life and the creation of these bodies. This is one of the reasons why certain families will have ET contacts from generation to generation. So it's not the individual, it's whether or not the physical body is strong enough to be able to withstand the higher vibrational frequency of what it is that's coming through. So did that answer it a little bit? Daryl?
Everyone in this audience, I want to know, I would like you to know, I am a Hopi. I am from the far mesas that Miriam has come to visit us and bring her message. We appreciate her visit. She brings in a message that will help us and other individuals on this earth, in this community. We're trying to develop a good rap with her, and we appreciate the information she brings.
Thank you.
And we're hoping to work together, share what we can with her, accept what she brings to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Quickly.
I want to thank you for bringing your story forward, your great story forward. And in your book, you mentioned the appearance of the second son. And I was wondering if you could briefly comment on that symbol as it relates to the gathering.
I was told that a star would appear in the sky for all of man to see. Nothing or no one would be able to hide its presence from the world, and it would be a sign to the people that the end was near. I believe, not any other group, I believe that the comet Holmes in last year was the appearance of this blue star. For a number of reasons, I do believe that it was the blue star that appeared, and that there will be other signs coming to us. And so when I know these signs, I will let you know. What it means is that we're in a window, a time of choice, and we have very limited, or sorry, I shouldn't say limited, we have a number of years, not months, but years before these great changes take place, if they do, because humanity has the ability to change any of these cataclysms that might take place. I have time for one more quick question.
Yes, could you go into about meditation, like how would one go about meditating?
Okay, meditation, I think that what the real question that you're trying to ask me, and you can just nod if that's correct, is how do you contact these ETs?
Well, someone, I guess, I know y'all talk about meditation, that's the general.
Okay, because a lot of people ask me about that, and Carrie and Bill are here. So when I meditate just by laying down, by sitting cross-legged, by sitting in a chair. I could be sitting across from you and I could be meditating. Honestly, meditation is being made something that it is not. Meditation is not about about sitting down for hours and hours and hours a day. It's about being productive with your meditation. Your meditation should be taking place all day long, every day. It should be within your heart that you actually meditate. So when you meditate, the only requirement is to be able to be comfortable, to ground yourself, protect yourself with light, and ask your guides to come to you, whoever it is that they happen to be. Now, for myself, in making contact with the ETs, just because I call on them doesn't mean that they come to me. They come to me when they can, because there's not enough of them to go around. But they are contacting you in a dream, in a vision, in a feeling, in many of these different ways. And they may be coming to you in your meditations and you don't even know it. So if you want to make contact, what I would suggest to you is that you continue to ask. And if you want to see a craft, continue to keep your eyes open. There's ways to be able to see things. And many people, not a huge lineup, but a fair number of people who have been around me and spent time with me and truly listened to what I was saying to them and really paid attention to the fact that they need to keep their eyes open, have then ended up having sightings of their own that they know for sure was craft or orbs. So once you get to my website and everything's all up, I'm going to be doing videos about how you can do all this, because I want to get as much information as I can out here. And so am I done?
You're done.
So just before you go, again, my website's bluestarprophecy.com. And I have a couple of books here, and I can take some orders if you want and so forth. And again, whatever we can do in this community, I'm going to ask this. They don't even know I'm going to say this. If you want to take responsibility and you want to make a difference, please do one thing. Support Carrie and Bill.
Which is the one I just gave you. I think it was this one, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it.